I think it was really, really useful, and I'm not saying this to flatter you, to have a realtor who is genuinely got your best interests in mind. I mean, this, to an outsider, this country is full of clever shenanigans, and actually you were so not that.
Hi everybody, I am here with the one and only Fiona Shaw, one of my all-time favorite clients. You may recognize her from, I don't know, Harry Potter series, Killing Eve, True Blood, and let's not forget what all Americans know you best for, 3 Men and a Baby.
3 Men and a Little Lady.
And a Little Lady.
That's right, with Tom Selleck.
Here we are in Chelsea, where it all began in 2015.
Yes.
I believe it was the fall of 2015,
That's
so
right.
exactly 9 years ago.
Yeah.
Hard to believe.
Yeah.
So having plenty of time to reflect on your home purchase in Chelsea, and more specifically your first purchase in New York City in general.
Yeah.
Take us back. What did that whole experience feel like for you?
Well, I had never lived in New York, and so it was a big jump for me. And I was very, very lucky to meet you, because you showed us various places and we looked at quite a few, and then you'd say things like, no, this is no good, it looks out onto a wall, this looks onto a fire escape. And you found us this wonderful apartment that had a balcony that looked out over the west and to the south, and that was the perfect one. So I think we were lucky to meet you, but also it was great fun to make that leap.
I love that you recount such a positive experience, but it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows, was it?
Well, I'd never bought a place outside England or Ireland, so suddenly you're being asked by committees in these buildings. You have to give them not only every pound or dollar you've ever earned, proof of your existence, proof of your grandmother's existence. You've also got to swear that you will never put narcotic needles in the waste. You think, what? You've got to swear you will never do that. You will never put anything bigger than this down the waste. You think, well, of course I won't. So you have to have these meetings. So I had to fly over from Europe. I was doing something in Europe. I had to fly over for one of these meetings before Christmas to complete. Do you remember that?
Of course.
And
Only
I
in New
found
York.
that very traumatic. I mean, I couldn't believe it. I thought, and then you think, surely we're not criminals in the building. We're just people trying to buy an apartment.
Do you feel like getting through that whole home search and eventually the transaction, like our relationship had an impact on that whole process?
Well, Evan, you were heaven, because you just kept on saying, don't worry about this. Just say you're not going to put narcotics down in the trash. And you knew how to maneuver these things. And you also knew that they seem very dramatic, because Americans are very dramatic people. You feel that, really important things are happening. In fact, they're just formalities. And I would say most people on that committee have long since left the building. That's the other thing. You think everything is permanent in New York. In fact, people go through, and there's probably somebody else on the committee now being asked those questions.
It's actually a good segue about people you've met in the building.
Yeah.
Has there been anybody in the building or the neighborhood in general that has had some sort of influence or impact on your life?
Well, I felt very at home the moment we got there, because this man gave us a gorgeous picture of Manhattan that was embossed and relief picture of Manhattan, which we still have. But we've met some wonderful people in the building. There's Nancy up at the top of the building who's got a little dog, and she's always very welcoming and sends text messages saying, are you coming up for chili con carne when you're back? I mean, it's very welcoming, much more welcoming than London. And then we have on our floor, there's a man called John, who's over 90, who we can hear in the morning practicing Chopin on the piano, which he does for 2 or 3 hours. He sees every art exhibition that's on and tells us, knocks on the door and says, you have got to see this exhibition that's up in MoMA. So it's an incredibly safe environment. I must say, it sold me on apartment living.
If you had advice for anybody looking to buy or sell in this neighborhood, what have you learned over the past decade?
I think it was really, really useful, and I'm not saying this to flatter you, to have a realtor who is genuinely got your best interests in mind. I mean, this, to an outsider, this country is full of clever shenanigans, and actually you were so not that. And I think once you have that, then you can start putting one foot in front of the other and saying, should we try this? Because it's very new when you're trying a new place. And it's just turned out really, really well. I think you settled us in very well and you followed through very well. And so I would say make sure you get experts that you trust.
That's everything to me, is
Yeah.
transparent, unbiased,
And maybe it's a
feedback.
lesson
And
for you. Let's stick to that method. Tell people, don't buy this one. It's the same as clothes shopping. When the lady says you look great and that and it's horrible.
You don't trust them.
You don't trust them.
Right.
But I've enjoyed it. What I've really enjoyed here is that I'm often here in the autumn, in the fall. And so, Halloween comes around every year and you have weird ghouls coming out of all of these windows and people decorate. And then if you're here into December, suddenly, those pumpkins change into other, bits of Christmas celebrations and Hanukkah celebrations. And so you have this lovely feeling
a gentle town.
It's a gentle town. That's the surprising thing. It really is villagey. I thought villagey was a sort of a joke because we watch movies about New York being really dangerous and people doing lots of this. It is incredibly gentle. And you see the same people again and again and they all say hello. Much more than London.
Well, this has been really fun. Thank you so much. Until next time, my friend.
Nice to see you.